Welcome, champions, to another episode of Champion Reads, where we dive into the best business and personal development books, talking about how they apply to our lives and today, and what makes them so great, and what we can learn from them. Champion Reads is brought to you by Champion Circle, the masterminds, accountability, make yourself better group. I'm sure there's better ways to say that. But check us out at mychampionscircle.com to find out more about what Champion Circle can do for you to help you achieve your goals in life, in business. Today, we are joined by the founder of Champion Circle, Mr. Jon Kovach Jr., and myself, Ian Stermer, as the co-host today. So, having cheese makes you happy. What does that have to do with business? Well, one of the classic books that you've probably heard of before, if not read already, Who Moved My Cheese? By Dr. Spencer Johnson. Definitely one of the best-selling books out there. Over 21 million copies sold. That's a lot. And there's a reason for that. We all love cheese. We're going to talk about cheese for a while without my Minnesota accent.
I love cheese.
Yeah, we'll try not to be too cheesy, but it's going to come out today. Sorry. So, Who Moved My Cheese? If you haven't read it yet, this is one of the story parable books about four characters who are in a maze where they go out and get cheese every day. There are two mice and two very small people, apparently about the size of mice, who are there as well. Scratch and Sniff are the mice, Hem and Haw are the people. And to give you a background, the basic idea of the story is that they are going to an area where there's cheese every day. They get it in the morning, they put on their shoes, they go, they get their cheese, they eat it, and they are happy. Life is good. But gradually, the amount of cheese in that location starts to diminish until eventually there is no cheese there. And these four characters are stuck with a problem that we may have all faced in our life. We want cheese and there's no cheese where it's supposed to be. So how do we go get the cheese? And this really goes through these four characters. The two mice, Scratch and Sniff, are always going out, wandering around looking, getting their shoes on, looking for that cheese every day. Hem and Haw, the two people, are then really the ones we're focusing on. What do they go through emotionally, psychologically in this? When do they give up? When do they keep looking? And honestly, this is a book about fear and what fear does to us as we go into scarcity. Having laid that foundation, let me turn it over to Jon to kind of get into. Let me try that again. Let me turn it over to Jon to give us an introduction. What are your thoughts? What did you learn from this? What is your wisdom to share?
Well, first and foremost, thank you, Ian, and thank you for the awesome introduction. It's great to be here. And for our listeners, just know that we're working our butts off in the real world, and this is sort of our side gig / hobby. We love reading these books, and so both Ian and I are tuning in mobile today from all over the world, and you may hear some background noise, but either way, we're grateful to bring this content to you, and we fit it in when we can. And of course, to our listeners and anyone watching our YouTube channel, it really is helpful that you support us and you subscribe and watch the channel and give us feedback, because all we do is we read. We're just readaholics. And I'm grateful we have this book here, because I've been wanting to do this one for a while, Ian, and I'm so glad you brought it up, because this is another one of those classics. I put it up there with like The Richest Man in Babylon and a few other major classics that you need to have in your library, that you need to have read at least once every other year or so. It's just a great book. And like you introduced, Ian, we've got four characters here. And I think it's ironic that, it's the mice that truly learn how to adapt. They're the true hunters, but yet the most advanced in civilization to humans have the hardest time adjusting, because fear and complacency. And I think that we all get to that point in our lives and at various aspects of our lives. I feel like the relation here with my life is there are things where I'm so comfortable with, and when I'm uncomfortable, I get annoyed. My attitude changes. It's just it discourages my day. It really roughs up my feathers, and my energy gets off, because when something is different and I'm not in the comfortable state, I have to adjust. But
Welcome to getting old.
exactly, yeah, and it only gets worse the older we get. But yet there's something that really is an outlier, and that's, for me, it's all about attitude and creating your own energy. We talked a lot about being creators and having our own ability to generate things around us, and we do that a lot here at Champion Circle. We discuss this in depth as we talk about Think and Grow Rich. But what I love about this book is that it really gives you some ideas about how we might be behaving, and then in a way it takes characters that we don't get in normal self-help books or in personal development, and even like personal transformation or business books. We don't really get a lot of the characterization. This is a fiction book, but yet the stories are so relatable because we see ourselves in either one of the characters. And we've all been the hems and haws. We've all been the sniffs and scurries. And that's really fun to be a part of. And plus, let's talk about, and trigger warning to all of our lactose intolerant people out there. We love you. We hope that this doesn't offend you, but life without cheese is just a really hard life. And we're excited to talk about cheese. But if this is a true fight for survival, nature always wins. And that's something that I always turn back to, is like, what can we learn from nature? You've got mice here who have to scavenge and eat to stay alive. You've got humans who say, hey, here's a source of awesomeness, and they get complacent, comfortable, and thinking, this is mine now. They take ownership of it. But the second it's gone, they forget how to survive. And so that fight or flight kicks in. And I think nature is more adapted to that than we are, because we do get comfortable. And that kind of sets the premise for me on this book. I'm really excited. So sorry for the long intro. I just wanted to cover a few bullet points. But, let's go back and forth a little bit. Let me ask you, Ian, like, who do you most relate with? Sniff, scurry, hem, or haw? Who like speaks to your soul the most right now?
This is a great question. And I'm going to move back a little bit. In the book, there's the story, and then there's kind of a group of people who are discussing the story, and one of them is sharing the story with the others. And through that, they kind of all say, oh, I am like Ha, who goes out and searches and finds things and gets, but in reality, I think I'm a lot more like him, who I'm not supposed to be. I get comfortable where I am. I like where this is. And this really hit me these last couple of days. I've been attending a conference, a lot of AI and integration into the workforce and digital marketing and things. And I'm realizing how complacent I've been on the simple old tools that aren't working as well and simply are not going to work in the future. And as I've gotten older, I get more complacent. I'm happy where things are. I get up, I go to my fridge, I know what's in there, I know where everything is at. But the world is changing now, and I need to remind myself not to be this Ha who sits there whining about everything, complaining, because as I get older, I enjoy whining a lot. It's become a great pastime. Um, sad to say, but there's who I want to be and who I unfortunately see myself being. And it is that complacent one saying, hey, everything is great. This is wonderful. I don't need to learn these new tools. I don't need to learn the new way of doing business. It's been great for the first half of my life, or 3/4. Hopefully it's only half. But the fact is, I have become complacent. And I love reading these books because this teaches me not to be so much. And it allows me to be a little more introspective and say, where am I? And this book is especially good for that. Which character are you? Where are you at? Um, and I think there's a point in this that's brought out in the book a couple of times, where he says in the author says in his seminars, everyone who is afraid of change stand up, and nobody stands up. And he says everyone who thinks everyone around them is afraid of change stand up, and everyone stands up. We don't think it affects us, we think it's everybody else. And that's what kind of hits me, is that I'm afraid of change. I'm complacent, and I need to stop doing that. And I love how this teaches me that principle. So,
yeah, I'll jump in there and I'll say, from the motivational speaker industry's perspective, I look at the story and I gotta say, like, I like to live in the moment a lot. And when I see that the hotel has a buffet, I'm at that buffet. Like I am such a like like uh, I don't know. I indulge in my surroundings because I'm so excited about life, and so many things like bring me joy. And sometimes it's the little things, and sometimes it's the big things. And I love to just like to share those stories. Like, oh, remember the time when we found all that cheese at Cheese Station C, and we just like gorged ourselves on all of it. I'm thinking about the queso, the Gouda, all of it. And it makes me laugh. And I resonate with hem and haw because I want to like enjoy and sift through every moment and take it all in. And it's so easy for us to do that. And if you become a sniff and scurry, you might fear that society will judge you for being such a worry, such a, um, um, uh, someone with anxiety and who has forward thinking about like, oh man, well, what if it goes away? Like, what else are we going to do? Where are we going to go? If the cheese moves, how are we going to continue to enjoy this? And so they always keep their running shoes on. And that resonates with me so much. I know we share so many, probably too many sports analogies here on this podcast, but
they work well.
They do work well, but we try our best to include other examples. And sorry for the background noise. I have airport terminal awesomeness happening here. But what I wanted to share really quick is, I love that principle that we need to always have our running shoes ready. And if you're not ready, I'm even distracted by this. So if you guys want to know where I'm going, I'm flying to another section of Utah, but we've got get some airport stuff going. Anyways, I'll just rely on the fact that this microphone is really awesome. Here we go.
Ooh, nice.
Okay, here we go. So yeah, the principle for me is always have your running shoes ready. And how do we do that? Like, what does that look like in our real lives? Our running shoes might be planners. It might be having our schedules. It might be having that person that we go to really help us accomplish what we want to accomplish. And so I'd love to kind of brainstorm a little bit about how best to keep our running shoes ready so that we're constantly searching and looking for the solutions we might need. But there's a few thoughts for you. And of course, as I finish talking, so does the loudspeaker, but I hope that comes through.
It does. Yeah. And there's an interesting analogy, I guess, in the book as you were talking. There's, I kept saying scratch and sniff. It's what, sniff and scurry, the mice. They're always wandering around. They're always just wandering, seeing what's out there. Then there's Haw, who is, if I get these ones straight, I always get the characters mixed up, who is searching specifically for something. And there's some benefits to both of that. The mice they're encountering things all the time. They're finding bits of cheese, but they're not able to really take advantage of it. They're not mapping out where the best ways are. They're just luckily coming across things. Then you've got Haw, who is searching specifically. He's marking where things are. He's mapping it out. He's still wandering around, but he's wandering around with a purpose. He knows exactly what he's looking for, and he's learning from each step along the way. And again, embarrassingly, I find myself like the mice sometimes. I wander around and, oh, that's cool, that's cool. But I don't always have that purpose. I don't always have in mind what I'm truly looking for. And I think that's a real big key of this is we can't just go out wandering. I mean, yes, there's some fun in that, but, and we might find something cool. But if we actually take time to map out what we're looking for, what is our goal, that's when we find those big areas of cheese. We find the variety of different cheeses. We can decide which cheese tastes the best to us. I've been on a pepper jack craze lately, so that's just to share that with you. Although a good sharp cheddar is always enjoyed. But if I know those things, I know where to look for it, and I know, the greengrocer is not going to have the cheese that the dairy section has. So knowing what you're looking for is going to be a key to this. We're all in this maze. We're all searching around. The cheese is always being moved. And if we know that's the case and we know what cheese we're looking for, we can start to develop strategies. And really, to me, that was one of the big takeaways, other than the whole fear thing that might be our next topic after this, is know what you want. Know that you're going to have to change what you do to get there and build on that strategy.
I agree. And I was just thinking, yeah, we got to have a few more episodes of this, because I was just making a list in my head. What are all the things in my life that I thought would never change and then no longer exist in my life right now? And you brought up some great conversations about some learning you're doing about AI, and it's fascinating. The beginning steps of what we're going through and learning right now could evolve and could be non-existent, and there's things that those things could be replaced by. The other thing too is I love this conversation because it is so relatable. We like to see ourselves as the hero and the protagonist of every story, but some of the greatest stories is when the protagonist isn't as prepared, and they get to have that learning experience and go through their own struggle. And I'm grateful for that journey as well. But what I wanted to kind of wrap up with is we have a lot to cover. It's not that big of a book, actually, and so we highly recommend you go grab it and check it out. But when it comes to relating with each of these characters, yeah, and it's Dr. Spencer Johnson, I believe, and
Yeah.
yeah, and this is just an absolute classic. I'm excited we get to dive into this and go through that. I also start thinking, and we don't love to assign homework, but if you're listening to this, if there was some things you could do, some activities that would help, it's write down a list of those things that you're currently just comfortable with and complacent with, that if taken away would do to your life, your business. If I had to adjust in certain normal aspects of my life, then it would probably shake things up for me. I like to pretend I'm adaptable, but I'm also human. So I'm grateful that I have the ability to change, adapt, and plan ahead. I envy that ability that these characters have to map out the maze and to keep an eye on what's happening ahead of time. It reminds me of the story of George Washington and his plans and creation of expanding his Mount Vernon, and how important it was to keep meticulous notes, even how the garden was growing each year. A lot of scientific growth and discovery on certain plants and crops in the Virginia area are currently based on the science of just measuring what George Washington did to his own garden. And so when you just plan ahead, you take meticulous notes and journal out things, it can really go a long way with your process. So anyways, I'll kind of end on that, and I'll let you wrap up, Ian. But what a great book. What a great concept. So many stories and examples come out of this. I'm excited for us to dive deeper and maybe, fear and leadership, as well as discovery, and even like that self-forgiveness principle that we can all relate to when we do make mistakes or do get complacent, and how to get out of it. So I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll kind of wrap up. Complacency is something I've noticed a lot. As I get older, I've realized that I don't look for change the way I used to. When I was in my teens, I spent my whole life looking for new music to listen to. And now I listen to the same music I listened to in my teens and 20s. I still try and find something, but I go back to that. I find myself watching old reruns of TV shows rather than looking for a new, exciting TV show to watch. I'm comfortable in that area, and there's some joy in being comfortable, but I'm missing out on things because I'm not seeking out the new. And the older I get, the more I see that encroaching on all aspects of my life. Do I really need to learn that? The answer is yes, I do. For the short one. So with that, I want to thank you all for listening today. Another episode of Champion Reads, where we look at the best books out there today in the business world, the personal development world, things that will make us better people. And this is definitely one that if you haven't read, shame on you. Not to shame you, but yes, shame on you. If you have read it, you probably will say, yes, it's time to read it again. Because this is one of these we can read over and over again, such a simple concept within it that is so deep in how it affects our lives. So again, this is Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Spencer Johnson. Quick, short, easy reads. Definitely recommend it. And again, we are brought to you by Champion Circle. You can find out more about us at mychampionscircle.com. If you like what you've heard, please like and subscribe to this channel. We are on all the major platforms that I'm aware of, and I've become complacent. So there's probably a whole bunch that I'm not aware of that we're on as well. So go out there, expand, and find more platforms that we're on, and like us on all those platforms, because we really appreciate that. We love doing this, and we really hope this is something beneficial to you, the listeners, as well. And let us know what you like and areas we can improve on in gentle, loving ways for us. So with that, thank you, and look forward to seeing you again next week as we continue our discussion of Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Spencer Johnson.